Alright, welcome back, artists. This is a screencast for FL06, which is all about the Newtone plugin. We're going to talk about how to set up Newtone in a mixer channel, how you can add a sample to that Newtone plugin. I'm going to show you how you could actually record straight from Edison and throw it into Newtone and play around with it. From there, we're going to do some basic modifications. We're going to change the pitch of each note. We're going to show you how you can adjust which portion of a sound you want to adjust the pitch to. We're going to show you how to change the format, and lastly how to fade in and out of notes. We'll also show you how to use this information that you create to export any kind of monophonic sound into a MIDI pattern, so you could actually hum something into a microphone and have that be transferred directly into a MIDI sequence. Lastly, we'll show you how to add this information to a sequence. And for this project, FL06, I would like you to have a before and an after version of a sound that was unaffected by Newtone, and then you added some kind of pitch correction or change to Newtone afterwards, or to that sample using Newtone. Let's get into this. So first, I'm opening up FL Studio, and I have our default setup here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a channel where I can record in from my microphone. So I'm going to right click on this empty channel, insert 6, and I'm going to rename it REC2. In this case, I'm recording from my second microphone channel. And I'm going to mute the channel because my speakers and my microphone are both kind of next to each other and I don't want it feeding back. So I'm going to mute this channel just for now. And I'm going to select my input as microphone 2, which actually isn't the microphone I'm speaking into at the moment. I have a second microphone set up that is a standing microphone. You can see that it's picking up a little bit of my voice right now, but I'm going to stand up and I'm going to record a different sample in just a moment. So I could choose the sample or the microphone that I'm currently using here, and this is microphone 1. You have two different microphone inputs, so depending on what you're recording, you might want to have two different microphones, one for the engineer and one for the person you're recording. All right, so here I have microphone 2 set up. In that recording section here, actually I'm going to also recolor it. I'm going to change its color by clicking on this and changing that to red, just so I can see which channel is my recording input. Now if I add to this effects slot the Edison plugin, I can record a sound. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to record one sound, which is just me making the same note over and over and over again. And then I'm going to actually hum a maybe recognizable tune into the microphone, and we'll see how we can use that to actually record MIDI information. So I'm going to record here, and I'm going to just record a few sounds. Da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da da da, do 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 do. Alright, so I have my sample recorded. As you can see, I have one section which is just the same note playing over and over again. If I go in here and take that sample out, I can select just one section, like right here I want this one section of this sample. I can click and drag this button in Edison right here to click and drag that selection wherever I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a different slot over here in my mixer, and I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to call it Newtone. And on that Newtone mixer channel, I'm going to go into my effect slots and I'm going to add my Newtone effect, which should also be under miscellaneous. It's down here where it says Newtone. So I'm going to click on that. And now I have Newtone open over here. Keep in mind it's in a different channel right now, so its volume levels will be different from my recording levels. So I've got my sound sample right here. I have it selected. I'm going to click on the drag copy sample button right here, and I'm going to drag that onto where it says Newtone up here on my plugin. So I'm going to click here, then drag onto Newtone, and when I release, you'll see that it takes that sound and it shows its information. Students, I don't mind you talking. However, I am recording a screencast, so I don't want to have to keep on talking louder and louder as I'm trying to record this, just for the people who are going to watch this in the future. Alright, so now I have just this one sound file loaded up into Newtone, and you can see that it has a few different pitches. If I press play on this button up here, it should play it back.
Da 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 da.
Perfect. You'll notice that I wasn't really on pitch with anything in particular. I started a little bit higher, it went down a little lower, and then it went up higher. If I want, I can select these notes. When a note is selected, it's going to show up as red in Newtone. So let me actually show you. When it's unselected, it's going to have an orange shape. If I click on a note with the selector, you'll see that it turns red. If I select a note, I can then drag it up or down to be able to change its pitch. You'll notice, however, that over here on the left of where the keyboard is, these are where the actual notes, the perfect notes, if you were to play something perfectly in key, would be played. And what I'm singing here is nowhere near perfectly in tune with anything. Even this one, you can see it's kind of the note itself, or the MIDI that's the bar that's shown is kind of in between these two different notes. If you want to make something on key, you can select the pitch here, and you can change this knob up here on the top where it says center. If you change that center knob, you'll see that the notes will begin to be actually aligned perfectly to actual keyboard notes, or perfectly musical notes. So now if I make it perfectly centered, like so, now these will be perfectly in key. In this case, this is going to be an E note, this will be an E flat, and this will be an F.
Da 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 da.
You can't really tell much of a difference because, well, there's no reference. This sound is being played by itself. But if I had some music playing in the background that was in a particular key, you would notice immediately that, hey, wow, the singer actually sounds like they're more on key now. Very easy to do with Newtone just by changing this center right here. The other thing to notice about Newtone is that there is an orange line that passes in between each one of these notes. That orange line is your breath control, or your formant. Your breath control has a lot of variation in it. When you sing a note, it typically isn't totally artificially one note. There's usually a lot of little variations in your note that make it sound more human. We can eliminate some of this by changing this variation right here. And you'll notice that those lines will change. You can add more variation, or you can take away the variation. Let's see what would happen if I took all the variation out of this and played it.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
You can see that there's not very much fluctuation in my breath at all anymore. It sounds more like a synthesized instrument.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
All right. Some more things that you can do with Newtone. If I wanted to edit the note in a more advanced way, you can double click on one of the notes and you'll notice this starts to pop up. This is your way of editing the variation and the volume levels of each note in particular. So I can click on the middle section of this and still drag my note up and down. Or I can change the volume level by clicking on where it says volume here, and I can drag up and down to change the volume of that note. Particularly in this green and red area over here. The green and red area is the signifying of the start and the end of your edited note. So let's say I wanted my first da to be lower in volume. I could change this green bar to where it only affects that one section here. And now if I hover over the top section here and drag up or down, I can change the fade in of that note. I can make it start louder, or I can make it softer. This is very good because most of the time when people sing, they start with a consonant sound or a plosive, and they end with a consonant sound or a plosive, or a sibilant is what they're called also. Basically, when you sing, you use a vowel sound that actually carries the note, and then your enunciation of what the actual sounds are is based off of the plosives of your sound, or your consonants. So for example, if I wanted to sing a word, usually the part that carries is the vowel sound of that note, and the rest of it is the enunciation of our language, which oftentimes will get in the way of an actual note. So usually when people start off notes, it'll sound more it'll sound rougher, and so you can use this tool to be able to take out some of the roughness of when people start or end notes. In this case, I have the ability to fade in or fade out the volume level of just things that I want to change slightly. Also, you can change the variation of the note right here as well. On the bottom here, you can see that there's the same thing. There's some sliders where I can affect the sliders. Let's say my singer was great, except there's one particular section where they kind of messed up, and I just wanted to change that one section. You can specify where you want to change that particular area with the bottom section of this variation here. And just like the volume control, I can change the variation to make it go up or go down. This can be used in conjunction with your variation knob here. So you can see here I'll add a little bit more variation into the note. If I double click on this, now you can see I can change the variation up and down from here. So you have a lot of control with notes, and we'll talk about how this can be used with tracks that are already pre-recorded. Now let's see how we can use a sample to actually create a MIDI track. Oh, by the way, for this particular example, if I wanted to use this as my example, I could drag this note into my arrangement window. This is the original sample now. And then I could go into my Newtone version of that sample, and I have the same ability to drag my selection into this arrangement window simply by going back into Newtone. I just hit it, sorry about that. If I go into Newtone, you can select an area, and you can drag that selection into your arrangement window with this button. You can also click on this button to just send it into your arrangement window wherever you happen to be located. So if I put my arrangement playhead over here, let me go forward a little bit. If I wanted to put this into my arrangement, I could just click and drag this and put my new sample here. So you can see I now have my original sample, my before, and my after, which sound very similar right now, but let me change the pitch of these notes a little bit. There we go. Now if I change this, if I drag this into my arrangement window, you'll notice that this sample is now much different. So I have changed effectively the pitch of just one area. Now why is Newtone much better than using a pitch correction of a different kind? Well, because you have individual note control. I'm going to load my other sample that I recorded to give an example of this. So I'm going to open up my Edison. I'm going to take the sample of where I hummed a little ditty from the TV show Doug. I'm going to take this sample and drag it into Newtone. Before I do that, I'm just going to go to my disk up here and go to New, File, New. And now I have an empty slate for me to use Newtone. I'm going to drag this into Newtone. It's going to analyze it, and here you can see all the pitches that were in it. If I press play, I can hear the sample that was made. So I have this all laid out like so. My pitches weren't completely correct, but if I wanted to center them perfectly, I could. Here was the original version where it wasn't centered. I already had my center knob up, so here's what the original recording was. You're going to notice that a lot of these notes, in particular this one and this one, are right in between notes. They're nowhere near the actual correct thing. So if I center them up first and then play, that's pretty good. Now what's cool about this is I can actually convert this into MIDI information and send it to a synthesizer. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select which instrument I want to play in my channel rack over here. What instrument do I want to play this melody? Well, I'm going to have my 3X OSC do it, which sounds like this. Let's hear what it sounds like. Alright, so it's a very simple waveform. All I have to do is select that channel here in my channel rack. And then over here in my Newtone plugin, there's a little button that says Send to Piano Roll. And it looks like a bunch of MIDI notes. It looks like some MIDI chords being played, really is what it is. So if I click on this note, it's going to send this MIDI channel to this instrument. So I'm going to click that right now. And now you can see that that MIDI information has been sent to this channel. Now if I press play with my 3x oscillator pattern, it will play what I just sang. It needs a little bit of cleanup, but we can do that. Basically, this is a very fast way for you to be able to think of something, hum it into your computer, and then for it to convert it into MIDI information. Typically what you would do with this is you would probably quantize it, or you would sing along to a track, which would make it a little bit more on pitch and also on time. But this is just a demonstration to show that you can take anything that you hum into the computer and turn it into MIDI information to be played into an instrument. Some great stuff. All right, let's see how we can change this to make it more perfect. This is almost right. That part's right, but right here I start to get some problems. Let's check just this one area. If you want to just select one area, you can click up here on the very top, and you can see that I can just click and drag to hear where the note variations are. Also, if you hold down Control and you click and drag over that top bar, you can select just one area that you want to work in. So if I press play now, it's just going to play this one selection. If I wanted it to loop this one section, I could press this loop button and it will play it over and over again. This can be very helpful if you're trying to check a reference track and make sure that it's playing just the way you want it to. You don't have to keep on stopping and pressing play and stopping and pressing play. This will make it to where you can double check that it's exactly the way that you want it to be. So right here, I don't like the way it goes up like that, so I'm just going to grab this note and drag it down. There we go. Right here, the same thing. I don't like that this note trails off and goes down. I'm going to bring that up to match with that one. There we go. So that part's fixed. Same thing right here. The two MIDI notes kind of happen one right after each other. I'm going to bring this one up to fix that. There we go. So now if I exported this as a note, I'm going to take all this information out of my 3x OSC, and I'm going to put the MIDI information in again. And let's see how it sounds now when I play it out of the 3x. Pretty close. So it usually requires a little bit of cleanup to do this kind of thing, but this is how you can take tracks and be able to edit them directly. Not only can you fix the pitches of a sample on a note per note basis, but you can also take the MIDI information of any monophonic instrument and apply it to a different instrument, essentially allowing you to hum a melody instead of having to learn how to play an instrument. All right, I hope you had fun learning about Newtone. Remember, if you want to change any of the volume levels of how notes are faded in or faded out, you can do that with the advanced editing mode. And the way you get into that is you just double click on the note that you want to change. Something else that's helpful to note in Newtone, you may not always want notes to start and end where the computer just picked that this is where we're going to have notes start and end. You can actually click and drag one of these notes to be able to, if you're not in advanced mode, you can click and drag a note's start and end time to change when it starts and ends. You'll notice that my notes are snapping to the grid that's in the background. That's fine. If you wanted to change the snapping for your grid, there are options to do that. There's also a way for you to quantize time, so you can make it to where you have something that you recorded and you wanted to make it actually match a time perfectly. You can quantize the start and end time to do that. Some great stuff. All right, I hope you had fun with this. Play around a little bit with Newtone. As you become more familiar with it, we'll cover some more interesting ways of fixing audio. But for right now, just try to get it to where you can edit the individual notes of a pitch and make a before and after snapshot of it on your arrangement window. Right here, you should have something that plays at the beginning, so I'll give an example of that here. Let's say I have an unedited version of the sample straight out of Edison. Let me go into my Edison plugin. I'm going to go into my recording plugin here, go into Edison. I'm going to grab this sample and drag it into my arrangement window. Then I'm going to go into Newtone and grab my more centered version and put that into. I'm going to click in the drag selection here and put that into my arrangement window, so I can hear the difference. I have my untuned version. Then I have my edited version. If I had some accompanying harmony in the background, you would definitely be able to tell that one of them is way more on key than the other one is. I hope you have fun with this. Make some great art.